Hi guys, it's Dakota. I hope everybody's doing well. How was your Samhain or your Halloween? And if you did nothing, I hope you enjoyed that as well. Sometimes we just need downtime, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So I had a great time. I hosted ritual here at the farm with some of my circle sisters and had like just a great time. Had a really, really good time. And so what I thought, some of them I hadn't seen since pre-COVID. So it's been a couple years. And then some of them we did ritual last year, and just sporadic throughout this year have I seen them. And then we also had a special guest that came and circled with us. So that was really exciting to have that person come, and we just thoroughly enjoyed it. It was very, very fun. So what I thought I would do today was I just kind of wanted, so here's the thing with Samhain, or at least with me. Okay, this is just me. Um, I, sometimes when you're doing any ritual or any journey work or any kind of like, you're just really trying to trance out and trying to get into that spot where you're communing with the ancestors or with your spirit guides or the angels or whatever it is that you work with, and whatever it is that you're trying to um, achieve. So we spend a lot of time working on our gift. We work on our chakras to stay open. We work on our mental state. We do a lot of studying, I hope, and all of that, so that our senses are very aware. So Samhain being the time of year when the veil is probably most thinnest, yes, it is very thin at Beltane. For me, it's a different energy than it is at Samhain, but it is very thin at Beltane. But Samhain for me is, I think, like a lot of witches, pagans who celebrate Samhain, we just wait all year for this one special occasion. And so you put all this work and all this effort and all this time and this meditation, and we set up our ancestor altars, and when we do all of this preparation, and then you have your ritual, whether it is like really a ceremonial, structured, high magic kind of ritual, or whether it's, hey, let's have a good time, let's have some fun, let's laugh and sing and dance kind of ritual. And then we have we call it a quiet or a silent supper. I do not like to call it a dumb supper. I think it's kind of slangish, anyway. Um, and then that is a time that we eat and we enjoy the food, and then we just sort of sit, because obviously we have our ancestor area set up at the table, which is their place, and they have all their food and their drink, and we've told stories about our ancestors that we are hoping to commune with that night, and then we just sort of sit with ourselves and with the energy, and hope that it's a time that we can commune then, and that we'll maybe receive a message or whatever it is. And I would say that a lot of times I don't necessarily get anything that night. And for a long time, I got really upset about that. I felt like I had no gifts. I wasn't in touch, what was going on. Um, and it really isn't about that, because sometimes, and I truly believe this, that, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. I truly do believe that. And so I think it's the same as with the message. I think when the time is right, the message will come through, that the ancestor will come through. Because when I'm talking about Samhain, for me only, we have our ritual, again, regardless if it's very intense and very serious, or maybe we've chosen to have just a blast, just have fun. Maybe we've got music and we're dancing and chanting and doing whatever. Um, it's festivities, it's active, it's very active. And then when we sit, even though we're sitting and we're within ourselves, um, I think sometimes uh, there's just a certain calm I think that you need, or a certain time, a certain energy that you need to be in. And I just wonder if everyone can achieve that energy when you're having celebrations, and this is a great time. So what I will say is that that night, um, I really I didn't I didn't commune. I didn't touch with the ancestor that I call forward. And so sometimes that's disappointing. However, I really think that I will continue every day. I've been doing this for months now to, not every day because I work, but on my days off, I will continue to repeat the same intention that I have been doing, to commune with this particular ancestor. And if that ancestor showed up that night, I don't know, um, but I kind of do know now. After ritual is over, there always for me are aha moments. But sometimes it could be the next day, and it could be a month down the road. And you can be eating dinner, driving a car, you could be at work, whatever. And all of a sudden you're like, ah, aha, that aha moment. So, yeah, so something happened yesterday a few times that was really interesting. And one I think was the switch maybe. Um, Although I didn't get a message, or maybe I did, but I haven't absorbed it yet. I'm not quite sure what it was, but I know it was something, because it was definitely it's like a flash. It's like a flash. And but I had some really interesting aha moments, and so I wanted to share some of those with you. So the first, and so let me tell you this. All right, I didn't get to burn the incense, yeah, because my charcoal got damp and I couldn't get it lit. So all that time, I didn't get to, that I made the incense for Samhain, I didn't get to burn it because the charcoal was wet and we couldn't get it lit. No problem, whatever, move on. That's what we did. I made everybody smell it though. um, and I will be burning that incense, throughout the season, like I said. So I will get an opportunity to enjoy that. All right. So yesterday I spent the day. Well, first of all, so that after everyone left, I was hyper. I mean, I was just woo. I was so hyped up, and so much food, a ton of food, and just great conversations, good energy. Samhain night. We did it on the 31st. And but so yeah, so I got 4 hours sleep. I got 4 hours sleep. And so yesterday when, I'm dragging, I don't feel good. I mean, I just don't feel good because I didn't have enough sleep. And I walk into the dining room and there's just stuff everywhere. And we had pulled everything out of our circle and put it up on the porch just in case it got, in case it rained or something. And that was all over the porch. And I was like, oh my God, I've got to clean all this stuff up and put everything away and blah, blah, blah. I didn't feel good. But I forced myself into doing it and I went ahead and I cleaned up. So one of the things so as I was cleaning up, I wanted to go outside and I just wanted to make sure that everything outdoors had been picked up and removed. And I used cornmeal for my circle. We did draw a circle, and I did something a little bit different this year. but anyway, and I'm not going to go into that. And I did something a little bit different, and I felt personally that it worked well. It's something I've done before in the past. But so so I did the circle. Sometimes I'll use leaves, or sometimes I'll use branches. Maybe I'll just use a cord, something like that for our circle. I don't want to use salt because grass, salt will kill the grass, and so I didn't want to do that. So we use cornmeal. Cornmeal, obviously, it's environmentally friendly. You can eat it, and so can the critters. So we had deer out there actually this morning eating some of the cornmeal. The birds have been out there having some cornmeal. Turkey has been out there eating some cornmeal. And so that's what I use. I used cornmeal for the outdoor circle. Now, what I was hoping was that I would learn how, and I'm sending out a plea. Okay, as you know, I don't edit. I learned how to add a profile picture, or not the very first picture. So like if you're scrolling through YouTube and you see this video, there might be like a picture with, whatever on it. I learned how to do that. But what I really need to do is I'd really like to learn how to add still pictures throughout the video, because I want to show you this picture of the circle, and I don't know how to edit that in. So I'm going to have to show you on my cell phone. So if anybody out there knows a simple, when I say simple, I mean ABC simple. I have no brain when it comes to anything regarding electronics, which is why I don't edit. It doesn't compute in my head. I need something very simple, and I don't want to pay for it. I'm cheap, so I don't want to pay for it. I have video editor or something like that on my computer. I have a laptop. That's what I'm using. My camera. I guess it's Windows 10 or whatever it is. And yeah, so if you know of one, please leave me a comment down there. But it has to be really easy. Like, it can't be complicated. No big words, because I won't get it. So anyway, sadly, I'm going to show you this on my phone. All right. So this was yesterday morning after we had picked up everything, and I went outside. I just wanted to double check the area and make sure that, we did have everything picked up. I didn't want to leave out any of my tools or, any kind of thing like that. So this is actually what that's what the circle looked like. Okay. And you can see that it's in between. What's really cool about this particular area is these are the woods where the creek is, only now it's a dry creek, unless there's a big heavy rain. It used to be a flowing creek, as you know. But yeah, so this is the creek, and then right on the other side of the circle, right here, over here, is the ancestor oak. So the energy there is really fantastic, because you get the energy from the ancestor oak, and then you get the energy from the woods, and those are lives. The trees, that's energy, and critters. The cicadas were out, the frogs were out. We heard bats, little squeals, and maybe an owl. I don't know, but we heard noises out in the woods that weren't of any spirit nature, sadly. Um, but yeah, so it's really, really awesome. So that was our circle. And like I said, I used cornmeal. Pardon me, I used cornmeal. Well, so as I was coming in, I went out, and I look around, and I don't know why, but just like everybody, my phone it was in my hand the whole time. I think it's because I'm always afraid I'm going to step outside and there's going to be something, and I'm not going to get the picture. So anyway, yeah, so that's what I did. Well, I sat down. It was really nice, and like I said, I didn't feel good. I mean, I did not feel good. I didn't drink. I did have a glass of wine, but that was it. Um, so I started noticing shadows. Like, I was just looking around at the ground, and I could see all these shadows. So there was this shadow on my porch. I have this railing, this old iron. It's a cemetery fence railing, old vintage cemetery fence railing that is right. It's part of my on the back side of my porch there. And I had oops, wrong way. And then the bushes, part of the my garden, and here you can see just some of the plants. And then when I came in, there was this. That is the design. I can't really see it. Let me see. Oh, you can kind of see right here. So that's the design of my front door. I have one of those big giant glass windows in our front door, and the sun was shining through on the floor with that design. And I was just snapping pictures of the shadows for no reason. Just, I take pictures of everything. There could be an ant crawling across the floor and I take this picture. But I was sitting outside just kind of trying to breathe and trying to feel better, taking pictures of these shadows. And then I was watching the shadows. And, as the earth is rotating, the shadows, of course, started to change and started to get less. And I watched them until the shadows disappeared, until the whole porch was just shaded. And so I got to thinking about the book called What is Remembered Lives by Phoenix LaFaye. It's a really very good book. You should probably read it. What is Remembered Lives by Phoenix LaFaye. And it's about honoring spirits and deity and the fae. And so it's a really good book. But so as I'm watching the shadows fade, and I'm looking at the pictures as I snap them to make sure that they turned out, and I come across that circle picture, I got to thinking that the shadows were fading, just like our own shadow fades over time. Shadow work. And it brought me right back to shadow work. And, I've told you, if you've watched any of the videos, that especially this year, shadow work has been huge. And I think it should be huge. And I just think that people really need to understand what it is and work with it. It's not easy and it's not fun, but the reward is amazing. The reward is amazing of your shadow work. You learn about your boundaries. What are your boundaries? What are you willing to put up with? It's okay to say no to people. It's okay to say no, whether they're your family, friend, someone who's disrespecting you anywhere, whether it's your store, grocery store, out in public, whatever. It's okay to say no. It's okay to have those boundaries. But the only way that you can have those boundaries and understand why you have them is to do that shadow work. So as I sat there and watched those shadows disappear and fade away, I felt my own shadow work that I've been working on. You'll never be done with it. It just won't. But and you might. I shouldn't say you never will. You might. I don't know. You might. And that would be awesome. But for me, is growth. For me, it's growth. And we talked about this in circle, well, not in circle. I talked about it with a couple of my circle sisters afterwards, how once you start working on shadow and once you learn boundaries and once you learn, I'm sorry, your behavior is not okay with me. Sometimes it gets painful, because we have to distance others. We have to set those boundaries, and that's too bad. It's too bad because the end result is you're going to feel better about yourself, and and that's what it's about. The better you feel about yourself, the more clarity you have, um, the stronger your work is going to be. The better your work is going to be. Your work, your magical work. When we have shadow, then we can't see. We can't see the patterns, the beautiful patterns of life. That one with the fence rail, I love that, and you can see the leaves beyond that. Um, I love that. I love that shadow. It's beautiful. And then, oh, hello, cowboy. Isn't he beautiful? Um, and then all of a sudden, uh, the shadow just disappears. And there's a load lifted. You're able to see, more clearly. It's just awesome. So that was an aha moment when I went out there to check the circle to make sure that everything was in. I wasn't looking for anything special. I truly wasn't. I just went out to make sure there was no tools left out there, whatever. And as I'm standing there looking at the circle, and we talked about the woods, how the thinning of the veil, um, it was tangible, like tangible. You could, if you don't understand the thinning of the veil, like what is that? Talking about the lushness of the woods during the summer, you can't see past it. And it's like an insulation. And there's a quietness about it, and yet the bird song and all of that is very distinct. You can really, really hear it, but it's almost insulated. But now when the leaves are, the branches are becoming bare, we can see through it. We can actually see the sky, through the dark sky, through the woods, because the leaves are falling. And now when you go in the woods, it's a little more echoey. It's louder. Like now I can actually hear those cars even louder, which is probably why they were so loud during ritual. The raging waterfalls is what I was calling them. um, but everything becomes louder because there's no insulation. So I had those little bits of, was that ancestor work? I don't know. Maybe it was. Maybe it was the ancestors giving me a precursor as to what's about to become. Like pay attention to that. Pay attention to that. That circle, what is remembered, lives. Ha! That was a aha. Whoa. That was a whoa moment for me. Phenomenal. Loved it. Okay. So then a few years ago, we had a ritual. I'm not sure what it was for. I don't know if it was Samhain. It could have been anything. I have no idea. One of the Circle Sisters, who was not present last night, by the way, um, she told a cute little story, and I don't even remember what the story was about. Apologies for that. But we ended up making these dead fairies, which I showed you years ago in one of my videos. Cute, right? And so when I was preparing the ritual, writing up everything and what I wanted the ritual to be about, what I wanted it to be about. Um, I started thinking about that dead fairy, and I was like, oh, I would like to make some of those. Those were so fun. And so I found a story. It was called, and I did not write the author's name down, but the name of the story, you can Google it. It's called The Fairy Dwelling on Selena Moor. The Fairy Dwelling on Selena Moor. And it's a cute little fairy tale story. And I won't go into the story, but and I condensed it, and I took some things out and I added a few little, things myself to it. Um, but the thing with that was the ending. I loved the last sentence. I loved the last sentence. And so I decided that we were going to make, fairies, dead fairies, because it was about the little people and the fairies and all of that. And so we made some fairies. Now, here's the problem with having your ritual on a farm in the woods. It's dark. It was so dark. We had the cauldron fire going. I had little lights for everybody. We had a little lantern light on the altar, and we had little lights around. a couple of the girls brought flashlights, and let me tell you, it was still very dark, and we could not really see what we were doing. And so anyway, they didn't turn out as cute, but I'm going to share mine because I actually thought she was cute. And what was really hysterical was, I'll show you the back first because we couldn't see. I got the wings upside down. So poor little thing, wings are upside down. But I made, see if I can hold it right. I made a banshee. This is my banshee. She needs a little more glue on her hair. But this is lichen, and sometimes it's called Spanish moss. And this was one of those luau leis, and I cut it, and we used the flower petals for the skirts, and yeah, and then just tied the wings on and got them upside down. But we had different things for the hair. We had moss if you wanted to use moss for the hair, and just different things. So I decided to make that, read the story, and I decided to make like something a little less cutesy, even though I think she's adorable. I love her. So yeah. Okay, so read the story. All right. I want to talk about we called in, we have at our quiet supper or a silent supper, which it is called a dumb supper. I just don't like the word dumb. I think it's kind of slang and I just don't really like it. But that is what it's called, a dumb supper. And so we have a place setting for the ancestors, and each of us, whatever we bring that night for our food item, everybody brings something, and we put one little spoonful so that the ancestors' plate is nice and full, and the ancestors have their wine and water, and they have all their food. And then each of us stands up front by the altar, and we share our ancestor and a story about the ancestor, why we want to, why we're thinking about them, and why we want to bring them forward. So I'm going to share this with you. So this is my aunt, who was my mom's half sister. Now, there's a lot of interesting history in my DNA, I think, because I did do my DNA last year, I believe it was, where you send your DNA in and then they send you your test results back. And, but more than that, I just have found some interesting history. So I'm not sure, this was my mom's half sister, so I'm not sure, because of this history that I've been finding out, if she was actually my half sister, my mom's half sister from my grandfather or from my mother, my grandmother. So that's the interesting part right there. That's the interesting part right there. Okay, so this is a picture of my aunt. Now, I will tell you the name. Okay, so my aunt, she's in a wrestling outfit. My aunt wrestled for the Shawnee Indian tribe in Oklahoma. This was this is dated April 1955. That is my aunt. And she has a given name, but when she was on the reservation, the two stories, one that she was living there, one she wasn't. Don't know. Everybody's deceased now. I never got straight stories growing up, even though I asked. But I do know this. She married the chief, or one of the chiefs, or I guess there's just one. I'm not sure. But she married a chief of the reservation, the Shawnee Reservation tribe, where she wrestled. So it was an entertainment. Like, you could go and pay and watch women wrestlers, and she was one. And so she ended up marrying the chief, and through that whole course, they gave her name, which they named her Shawnee. So from the time I was a wee grasshopper, um, she was Shawnee. That's what I knew her as. However, I called her by her given name, and that was per request of my mother. So I did. So she was Aunt, given name, and but she always went by Shawnee. So that's really interesting. So that's who I called forth this Samhain. And I have been doing a lot of journey work this past year um, with the ancestors, trying to put that energy out there to be able to connect with her. Because, and what I told our group Sunday night about her was that it's one of those things, right? I know, and you know, I was not raised in a religious house whatsoever. Religion was not a thing. I had freedom to believe in pretty much whatever I wanted to believe in. So, why this happened this way, I really don't know. I'm not quite sure, but I know that she knew that I knew that she knew that I knew, right? We both knew that each other were different. And we never really got to sit down and have a nice, juicy conversation about any of that. Bits and pieces here and there. But that's what I want. So that's what I'm trying to do. That's the information that I would like to get from her. So I will continue my journeys. I did not get anything at Samhain or at the dinner from her, but I did have another thing that happened yesterday that it was almost like a pow, it was like this explosion and this bright light. But, nothing per se. I'm just going to leave it as that at that. There was a little something, but so I'm really trying to connect with her. I really want that information. I want it really, really bad. Okay. At the supper, I want to mention this. It's like I said, we each give up and we tell our little story. I told my story about my aunt and how she wrestled for the Shawnee Indian tribe. And that is how, and I don't want anybody to be offended because that is how it was explained to me. The Shawnee Indian tribe. That's how it was on the reservation. So, okay. So one of the attendants at Ritual, her family, great grandparents, were from Czechoslovakia. And so our guest made a Slovak, pardon me if I mispronounce anything, Slovak meal and brought that. And it was, she made, I wrote it down, pierogies. She made pierogies, and then she made this mushroom, potato, and gravy. Whoa. So good. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Mushroom gravy, potatoes were in it. Sauce kind of thing that you could just eat by itself. Oh, sour cream that you could just eat by itself. I did like to put it on the pierogi. It was delicious. Well, anyway, her grandmother, babushka means grandmother or old woman. And my guest, our attendant, her grandkids call her Baba, short for babushka. And that story touched me. I loved that so much that I asked her today if if I could share this story without giving the names. And of course, she said yes, and so I am. I just thought that was so cute. So her grandchildren call her Bubba, and yeah, and I have to keep looking. Babushka means old woman or grandmother in Czechoslovakia, I guess, Russia, something like that. And it was her great grandparents that came from there. Her grandmother actually grew up in Pennsylvania, in a small coal mining town. So I wanted to share that. I thought it was really, really interesting. So the other thing that I did that was really cool, and then I'm going to get off of here. I just kind of wanted to blab about Samhain because I just needed to kind of get some of this stuff that I'm feeling, and I'm still like bouncing off the walls. I just, it was such a great night. So each table setting, um, everybody got, and I want to thank Mickie Mueller because she did a video, I believe, or Instagram. I think it was a video. Well, either way, Instagram or YouTube. Mickie Mueller, look her up. I'll put her link down there. She had gone to the dollar store, no kidding, the dollar store, and bought these little boxes that they had for Halloween, right? And so this is one. So I was like, oh, I want one of those. They're so cute. So I run down to our dollar store and they have nothing. They don't have them. There's this one, a little bit bigger. And looks like a book. Cute. Our dollar store didn't have any. So I was really bummed. And but about a few weeks later, I had to go get something at the dollar store. I was looking for little knickknack stuff, and they had them. And then it hit me, and I was like, I think I'm going to get those. And what I did was, I got one for each of the girls, the ladies, and then I filled them with all kinds of little witchy stuff. Okay, there's little stickers, and there's some little felt, fun little confetti ghosts and things. A squishy kitty, so when you need to get your frustrations out, you can squish them. And so I made everybody a box. They got one of the boxes. I made one for myself, even though these 3 boxes are mine. You'll probably be seeing them back there. And then I told them, oh, shoot. I said I forgot to put one thing in there that I wanted to put in there. So this is going out to the girls. What I forgot to put in your box was the Halloween candy. Oh, too bad. So sad. Mine. Sorry, guys. It was in the refrigerator, so it wouldn't melt. I forgot. And so now it's in my belly. Okay. The other thing that I made, and it's been kind of it just, for whatever reason, it does not want to work. I found at the thrift store for 50 cents a children's Halloween ABC book. And each letter had a different little, A is for blah, 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 and it would tell you the little story. So what I did was I cut out the pages for each of us. Dakota got a D, right? And everybody got their own initial. And I used them for their place settings at the table. But what I did was I glued them to a piece of like crafting paper. I glued the front page, to a piece of crafting paper. And then I filled it with herbs. I filled it with graveyard dirt, kind of for some protection and communicating with ancestors. A lavender to help keep a calm, stress, so that we can relax and receive the information. I believe there's bergamot in there for clarity, and there's a tobacco leaf in there as an offering for the ancestors as well. So I filled them up with the herbs and then I glued them. Well, the next day I went in and the pouches had all opened and there was herbs and stuff was everywhere. So I had to clean up all that mess. And so now they're just taped. I had to tape them, and even the tape isn't sticking. I don't know why, but this was mine. D, little dragons. It says D is for deep, dismal dungeons, dangerous dragons, and dreadful old doors that open and creak. And I thought, Quinky Dink? I think not. Uh, the doors, the opening of the doors. And you know that I use road opener for everything. So I think I don't know. There might be some road opener in here. I can't remember what all I put in there. But anyway, I use those for the placemats. So I thought those were really cute, and they smell good. So you can either keep them or you can burn them, set an intention, whatever you want to do with them. Anyway, that's it. This is kind of long, right? But yeah, I just really wanted to go over some of the things that happened at Samhain, and just kind of these little things here and there of these aha things. And so I really, really, truly believe that, when you're not thinking about it, when you're not trying to force it, then it will come. And sometimes it comes when you're least ready, which is why I carry, as you know, my notebooks everywhere, because, and I have the little tiny ones that I just keep in my purse. They're everywhere. They're all over the house. They're everywhere. Because I never know when I'm going to get a message, or a thought or an idea or something. And I have to write it down because I'll forget it. And so I'm pretty sure that, and this is the new year. This is the witch's new year. We're on day 2. So I'm looking forward to just some really great success and some new mysteries behind the door for this year. And yeah, it's just been really phenomenal. So I had a really great time. Hope you guys did too. And that's it. Hope you enjoyed it. And hey, seriously, if you know of something that I can do to figure out how to incorporate pictures into the video, so like if I'm talking about it, hey, here's a shadow, and I can put the picture on and then continue with the video. Let me know. But I promise you, it cannot be complicated at all. I won't get it. I barely know how to turn on and turn off anything that has a button. Like right now, I'm about to turn you off. Guys, have a great week. Happy Witches New Year. And I wish you the blessings of the ancestors. May they be upon you, and be grateful. Be grateful for lessons hard and lessons great. Bye, guys.